sort of like kept. So we need to know and understand why it's being kept. And there are various reasons, or at least theories, why it may be being kept. And what I'm presenting tonight is kind of how to understand the difference between dealing with people and the difference between dealing with people who may come under the name of, you know, Boots or Sayers or any of these like shop companies. Like, I think Richard, you said you work for Cadbury's who've now become Kraft. Well, Cadbury's stroke Kraft is probably one of the biggest, is it? They own, like, do they own the NFL?
Well, no, they're the biggest food manufacturer in the world at the minute.
Biggest food manufacturer in the world. Right, so I imagine their legal team is pretty substantial.
Very hot.
Very hot, there you go. So straight away we recognise that Cadbury's, who innocently make chocolate for the selling of, now have like this very hot, super duper legal team who, if they wanted to attack anyone on the street using, you know, their legal procedures, they could pretty much tie you up in knots all day long in any court, and you wouldn't have a clue what's going on, and they could probably take your house just because you, I don't know, maybe a scenario is that you made a claim against them that their chocolate wasn't very nice, and you send a claim to them, and the next thing you've got like a whole team of lawyers just totally getting paid to concentrate on this one case to get you out of there, and that's, you know, that's the circumstance what you're in. They can afford these high rolling slick lawyers who they're going to pay top dollar for, yeah, probably headhunting all day long for them. Now, people are very vulnerable to this. If you go to the dole, to the bank, the council tax, where you buy your car from, you don't really understand what's going on, I presume. No? So, for example, does anyone know what credit is? And the room went silent.
Yeah. I think most people know the basics of freelance principle, I think.
Or do they? That's the difference, you see. We might have a general common conception.
Money with it and gaining some kind of interest from you for that facility.
Interest on credit?
Well, you're given credit, but then you have to pay a certain amount for that facility, for having that credit. You've got to pay over the odds. I mean, you know,
it's a license, isn't it?
Well, if I give you credit for those comments, does that mean that you have to give me interest back?
If she says so, because it's her intellectual property.
There's your interest.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. That could be. But can I demand it, or can I get you into contract, or would you be willing to give it free, you know, voluntarily? There are different sort of angles that we need to look at, interactions.
What's your definition then of credit? Why don't you give us that?
Well, I'll lend you the definition from Black's Law Dictionary. Trust. If you look up...
I trust you to pay it back.
It can be, or I trust you enough to give you credit. So, credit also means value, money of no value. So how does that work?
The value that you assign to it, what you can do with that credit.
Well, if it's money of no value, then it's credit. Then when you give it a value, and it's not credit anymore, because that's not the definition. If you know what I mean.
It's whoever writes that piece of paper, you know, that you've made that credit. So they are central bank for whoever these trusts are. And whether you have that trust or not, they've got the license to reprint it. Governor of Bank of England said, you know, with the license, because we've got handwriting, you know, all the money can disappear. Give us some paper, and we've got to rewrite enough to buy the world back. So, you know, it's their own license to make that credit.
Yeah.
And how they use that, they might lump anything onto that. They might lump ransom against countries. They might lump all sorts of sinks and sources.
So what are they giving the credit on the strength of?
The ruler.
Get the interest back on it.
That they can get the interest back on it.
It's impossible because
You
You
can
can
never
pay
pay a
it
debt
all.
with a debt. Yeah. So we've now been entered into this legend of bookkeeping for UK, who operates this credit run system that we have no idea how it runs because, you know, we're not allowed to. Bookkeeping, I was reading a bookkeeping book called, I think it was Bookkeeping for Dummies actually, and it said bookkeeping is one of the biggest mysteries known to man, because there's no viable way that it can work. You know, like a tree grows apples or, you know, cherries or whichever, and you can kind of grasp the concept that it takes minerals through the soil and water it and stuff, but credit is just like to just pick a number out the air and issue it, and that's it, it's done. There's no viable means of how it can operate as bartering, for example, which if people are bartering using maybe goats, cows, you know, seeds, whichever, there's always going to be some amount of perpetuity within that product. But with paper, useless pieces of paper, there can never be any perpetuity in that. You know, there's nothing that can result, or as it's called, there's no redemption. I don't know if you're familiar with the term redemption. A little.
I'm sorry, man, but the way
Money has different forms, and you can get monetary instruments, which is basically pieces of paper that act as money. Or if we come to an agreement that, you know, any chance of your watch, and you say, well, you know, this watch was left to me, or however it was, whatever the circumstance, and I'm going to try to match that value until we come to an agreement, or I'll leave the exchange, then we've got an agreement. But until that happens, then it would either be me stealing the watch or me forcing you to give it to me, you know. So there are different scenarios, or I could trick you, you know, while you're not looking. I could use, you know, sleight of hand, pickpocketing. I could use them techniques, and you wouldn't know, and I could do it for entertainment purposes and give it to you back. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same with money. There's more than one aspect of money that is real in law, but we're kind of given this opportunity to recognise pound notes or coin as being the money, when it's not strictly true. And things that can constitute money may not be recognised in different jurisdictions when it's not allowed to be recognised, because people have made their own, which essentially is a trust, but they've made their own relation. If like we're talking and we come to an agreement over such and such, like an agreement with the watch, you know, it may be an agreement for like value. You give me a pen, I give you a newspaper. There's something there of exchange that we can both be happy with. The pen will probably last longer than the newspaper, but it might run out of ink. So
Selling it to me.
yeah. So we can agree on stuff that we want to exchange, but we may not necessarily want it to be under, how can I say, under the state's influence, which is whereby, how can we keep the United Kingdom from not entering into our affairs, because we want to keep the secret and private, basically. And this is what a lot of the high rollers, you know, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, all these, like, sorry?
Morgan, shit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. All them high rollers, they've got these super duper lawyer teams all working frantically to protect their assets. So what is it that we do to protect our assets? We're probably, you know, we're just finding out now what it is that we can do to protect our assets. And we have to understand what it means to protect our assets. So these people are basically, they're running their own little empires, and that's exactly what they are. They're governing them, you know. And that's what we need to come to, that level of understanding of how to operate in the world, if you like. And we can do it